So, Stephen, everyone wants to know, what was around before the Big Bang?
Nothing was around before the Big Bang. According to Einstein's general theory of relativity, space and time together form a space-time continuum or manifold which is not flat, but curved by the matter and energy in it.
Hello. Today I want to take a look at the chart of Stephen Hawking, who died recently on International Pi Day, also Albert Einstein's birthday, which I found to be rather interesting. I have his birth data as January 8th, 1942 at 2:29 a.m. in Oxford, England, United Kingdom, which gives him a sun of 17 degrees Capricorn, ascendant of 26 degrees Libra, moon of 19, almost 20 degrees Virgo, and a midheaven of 5 degrees Leo. And as we see here in the chart, I want to look at the aspects that would point most obviously to his reputation and status as a genius. And with that, we would start with the planet Mercury, the planet of the mind. As we can see here, it's located in Capricorn in the third house, which is the planet of the mind of Mercury, because it corresponds to the natural third sign of the zodiac, Gemini, and Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo as well, and he has the moon in Virgo, so again, more emphasis. There's a very loose trine there. I give more orb to the moon. It's about 8 degrees, roughly, a little over 8 degrees orb, but again, it's the moon. And sun and the moon, you should always give a bit more. It has actually, not to get too far off, but a nice sun-moon trine as well in the Earth signs. But what I really want to look at here is the association with Mercury, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and they all form a grand trine. Now, those of you who aren't familiar, each of these planets are representative of a certain aspect of reality, observable reality, and reality beyond what we can observe, and that would the latter would fall more under Neptune and Uranus, both beyond Saturn, which for the longest time in astrological history and just astrology was first, but all the studies of the astronomers, astrologers throughout history, Saturn was the furthest, considered the furthest out planet, because we didn't have the tools to see any further than Saturn. And so Saturn represents the end of it represents the material manifestation of anything, actually, and the boundaries, and the boundaries weren't broken as far as our discovery of other planets until the discovery of Uranus, which didn't happen until around the time of the American Revolutionary War and the French Revolution in the 1700s. And of course, Uranus is the planet of revolution, so that's interesting. It's also the planet of genius and intuitive insight. Anyone with Mercury and Uranus an easy trine here has an ability to figure out things intuitively, which is to say, not psychically, or that they arrive at conclusions without going through a process. You know, the answers don't exactly fall into their lap, but it appears that way to others because their minds go through the calculations that other people would be stumbling through so quickly. Now, in the case of Neptune, there is a little bit of where the intuition is even less associated with reason, and it is more pure connection to knowledge beyond rational thought, I guess is the best way I can put it. And with Saturn in there too, there's a relationship where he can tie that all together because his mind was easily assimilated all of these aspects of reality. So it was very easy for him, as it was for people like Einstein or Isaac Newton, to see and to understand, maybe the best way to put it, what he couldn't touch. I mean, he used mathematics and things other physicists used to understand the mechanics of the universe, but there was also an element of, I guess the best way to put it is imagination, informed imagination, might be even a better way to put it. Uranus is there in the 8th house, which is a house of, it's a water house, like house 4, house 8, and house 12. So, and water, the realms of the 8th have to do a lot of times with the occult and other areas of existence that are mysterious, let's put it that way, but he had access to these areas. Now, this grand trine is most important, but I also wanted to stress that he has some prominent squares. As a matter of fact, they form pretty much, I guess I would call this a grand cross. It's the Pluto opposition is not as tight as I'd like it to be, but it is an opposition between Pluto and Mercury. Now, Pluto is the last, or for a long time was the last observable planet discovered after Neptune in 1930, around the time of the rise of the Nazis and fascism in general, and around the time of the advent of the first atomic bomb. And plutonium, Pluto rules nuclear power, and it rules pretty much anything that is buried or underground. It's the natural ruler. Once it was discovered, it became the natural ruler of Scorpio, which is the sign that investigates mysteries. They make great surgeons or detectives, also associated with the 8th house, because Scorpio is the 8th sign. So the opposition, the flow is not easy, but actually in some ways the squares and oppositions are even more of a driving factor, because his need to know was imperative with this. And Mars here on his angle, 7th house, very important, also squares it. So between Mars, which is energy and drive alone on a personal level, and Pluto on a more of transpersonal level, were both affecting his mind, associated with the rest of this. And as you can see, since it's on an angle, Mercury was also square his Libra ascendant, which definitely gives, as if there weren't already enough emphasis on his Mercury, any association with the ascendant, as well as loosely the moon, on top of everything else, makes it a key factor. And as I had looked it up, Mercury is actually one of his dominant planets, along with Pluto and Mars. Pluto is actually the most prominent, and Mars is second. So I wanted to just take a look at that with you, talk about that, and thank you for looking at the stars with me. Also, if you're so inclined, please check out my Patreon page, located in the comment section below.